Hi guys, thank you so much for coming back. Today I have Mario's new launch. Very exciting. We are just going to do this everyday look and I'm going to show you the products, or we'll just have a chat about a few things. So get yourself a coffee, get yourself comfy. Don't forget, please do follow or subscribe depending where you're watching. Your support really means a lot and it does really help me. So if you don't mind, please do follow or subscribe either here or on YouTube or both. Let's get started. So I'm just quickly going to prime my skin. I'm using again the Marc Jacobs. My skin's quite dry at the moment and this just seems to be really helping. So, you know the old saying, when you're on a good thing, you stick to it. The reason I think my skin has been really dry is actually because I finished my It Cosmetics night cream. That is absolutely fantastic. I've posted about it before, how I managed to get this desk moved. Must have had an out-of-body experience because my desk is huge and I'm just looking going, how in God's name did I possibly move all this? But I did. This is much better too because I can see out the door, and I hate sitting with my back to the door. I don't know if anyone else feels like that, has that weirdness. I'm going to use the Fenty Skin Tint. This is the number 6 and this is the number 1. Funnily enough, the number 1 was what my shade match was, but as you can see, that is way too light. I find some of these skin tints quite hard to match. I know with the Huda, that was really quite difficult as well. The color I got was way too orange. Worked in the end, but it's always better if you can get a foundation that you don't have to mix with other stuff, especially straight off the bat. The first thing I do with this Fenty skin tint with my finger is work it into my nose, just to make sure it gets in there so it can blur any of those pores, which are where my largest pores are, and then probably between my eyebrows. I really spend a bit of time working that in there, and I'll just go in now and blend the rest. So a little bit of the Fenty Under Eye Illuminator. Put this under your skin tint or your foundation or on top, whatever you prefer to do. When this product is new, it's one of those products that you don't think you've got much, you squeeze it and a whole heap comes out. Got a bit of redness there. This is just like a medium type concealer. This is in 04 Crate and I actually thought that's going to be way too dark for me. However, it actually works really well. Well, let's use this. I haven't used this before. This is good sitting in front of everything because I can show you more stuff. This is the Bite and you just outline your lips with it. It just gives them a little bit more definition and it's totally transparent. It just helps shape them very subtly. At the same time, it gives them a little bit of moisture and I put it all over. I don't just put it on the outside. It also helps to just smooth them all over. So eyebrows are done, and in case you're wondering, I just used Tilbury brow cheat and then I just used some of the Legendary brows. We have Lash. This is in the color Soft Coral. Really pretty packaging, really nice. You have a brush at one end. You can see how it sort of has those little points. It has 5 of those. The reason for that is it will help blend it in. Oh, that's pretty. That is the color. Next, I have the bronzer. Got that one in the color Light. So here we go. This is exactly the same packaging, just different product. Same brush on the end, and this is the color Light. It's quite dark. It's perfect for day to day. That's exactly how Mario made this collection. It's not made for dramatic contouring, sketched out faces. He wanted to make everything so everybody could wear it, product you could wear day to day and not feel like you've overdone your makeup. I do have his little brush. This is the end for the blending for the powder and also for bronzer. And then you've got a little one here, which you could use for powdering, bronzing, contouring, whatever. So you see that one. And this one is on an angle. That's additional to the 2 brushes that come at the back of each product. There's a good selection of colors. I also have here the Light powder in the bronzing. So the whole thing is they're buildable. Nothing is supposed to just be put on in one massive chunk. Let's have a look at, this is the blush color here. That's a better way to do it, right? The actual powder product for the blush is this color here, and I've got Desert Rose, which is the color I chose. And that one is here. I'll just cover up the bronzing shades. So let's start with our bronzer and see how that goes. I'm going to put it from tip of my ear down, just like that. I'll do this side too. I don't know if it's gonna dry sort of too quickly for me to come back and blend it. Let's see how that goes. That's going in very, very nicely. So easily. This brush is very dense. So this is just to give a healthy wash. Okay. And sometimes it's nice to have a bit of makeup on. It's just a little bit more than the no makeup look, but you're also not sort of all chiseled. This is also on an angle, if you can see that. And let me tell you, this just blends in beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And that was one swipe. So you get, that's a fair bit of product. So let me do a little bit on my forehead. You want to have a bit of colour in your forehead, don't you? That's reasonable. Just work that in. And again, I'm tapping this in. I am not doing this. It's that easy to blend. But also, I really don't want to disturb the foundation underneath. I'm going just very gently. That is just lovely. It really just gives a bit of a glow without being really glowy. But more than anything, it just gives a really fresh, healthy look to the skin. Just dabbing on a tiny bit more on each side, just so we can see how it builds up. You can build it up. I'm so glad I didn't get the medium. I'm glad I got this shade because I was worried, oh, maybe it's going to be a bit too dark or not light enough, but it's perfect. I'm going to do my chin just because it just gives us a bit more of an opportunity to see if you did want to use it for that. So I always like to put a little bit at the edge of my chin here and then here, to make my chin sort of come forward a bit. And then I'm just going through, blending that just gently right under. There we go. That is beautiful. So flawless. Now let's try the blush. I'll put this back on. No, the only problem, or the only thing I think is a little bit, not bad, it's a little bit annoying because when you put the cap on the brush, you need to make sure you don't catch any of the bristles on the outside, because you put the cap down and you see how some of those bristles don't want to go in, and then you're going to push them down and they're going to fray all around the edge. So you have to be really careful how you put the lid on. But other than that, it's fantastic. The whole design is great. And they're super light. All right, let's try the blush. So let's go above. And I'm only going very lightly. I'm just pressing ever so gently. Just like that. Because we need to blend it out. Oh, okay. So the brush also comes off. I was wondering about that. So you can wash it. That's genius. And then it just clicks back in. Clicks off, clicks back in. That is really good to know. You can wash your brush. Yeah, it'd be pretty nasty looking if you use the whole thing and never wash the brush, wouldn't it? Okay, so that, just like the bronzer, has gone on really nicely. It just sits on the skin so nice. It really does. So I'm just going to use a little bit of my Laura Mercier powder because I know that that powder works really, really well for me. And I like to use products that I know how they work, especially when I'm testing something new, because if you don't know how a powder that you're going to use works and the product you try doesn't work, you could be sort of thinking it's the new product, but it could in fact be that you've used something that you don't normally use anyway. You get what I'm saying. So how that's settled back into my eye. But always go in after you have done your bronzing or whatever you're doing, but just before you put powder on, if you wear powder, and just get those creases out of your makeup again. So let's just set that now. I'm only using a really tiny amount of powder, and I'm just working that powder into my eyes so that it gets into all those tiny little lines. The reason I wanted to do a very light layer of powder before I went in and did any more through my face is to set the foundation. Also, when I put the powder, bronzer and blush on, there's just a tiny bit of powder underneath. It'll just help work it in. Whereas if you go straight on to skin that's had creams on it, into a blush or a bronzer or a highlighter, depending on what product it is and how you use it and all those things, it could be a little bit harder to use, that's all. May not blend as nice. So let's give this guy a go. This is the bronzer and this is in the color Light. So that's here. So that was the cream, that's the powder. Just to intensify that a little bit. My goodness, Mario. You don't even really need to blend this, like, wow. If he came out with like a face powder, oh my goodness. I don't know what the formula for this is, but whatever it is, it's very nice. So I'm just tapping that color through. I didn't get the highlighter because I have his other highlighter, the one he brought out last year, which is sort of like a cream highlighter, but I sort of thought I've got so many highlighters. I have the new NARS palette to show you as well, and that's got a couple of highlighters in it, and there's only so much that you can sort of wear and test and stuff. So let's take a tiny bit on this side here. This brush is actually a little bit angled as well. Let me take a little bit here, just down, gently down the very edges of my nose. We didn't put any cream down there, but I can put a little bit of powder just to show you. So here we go. This is the Desert Rose. So let's dip into this. Just put that on top of where we put, that packs a punch, doesn't it? Wow. Just putting it on top of where we put that cream blush. Just taking it up a little bit higher. Blending that through because it's, as you can see, it's very pigmented. He did not come to play, that's for sure. Absolutely stunning. So do be careful if you're thinking of getting them. Don't be deceived by something being called light because they're all very, very pigmented and lovely. I don't know if you can see my skin, but it just looks so nice. It's not, doesn't look like cake face. It's not dry. It's not settling anywhere. It's just absolutely beautiful. I'm just gonna put some of this Sephora Lip stain on. Oh, this is 37. This is his primer. It's called the Master Eye Prep and Set. And again, this is in the color Light. You can get it in deeper shades if you want to. I've put Laura Mercier powder there, but just to make sure, I always like to go in with a shadow, set my eyes, usually something that resembles a close match to my own skin tone. Here's a thing that you can do. If you feel like you've got dark eye, actual eyelids, even if it's directly under your eye here where you feel you have a little bit of darkness, once you've done your eye primer, if you set that with a shadow that's got a little bit of yellow in it or salmon, just a tinge, like this is my MAC one, see how they're similar colors. You put on a shadow like that under whatever you do to your eyes, it will actually help color correct some of that darkness. Not only will you set your eye, you'll sort of start with correct color base. Eyeshadow actually sits very well under the eyes. Because it's so finely milled, don't mind me a bit of shadow under the eyes, gotta say. Not like down like you would color correct, literally like just under your eyelid, just a tiny bit. Just helps get into those tiny little creases and lines. Mario has got two palettes. He has a Master Matte Metallic. This is the metallic one. Absolutely stunning. And that's the matte. I'm just going to use the matte one today and go into this one. I'm going to put it here, just above my crease, and then take it down and then blend it upwards. Just going to keep doing that until I get the color that I want. I'm just going through the center and I'm blending upwards. I am going to get another brush. This is the PC38, so it's a little tiny brush. I'm going to use the dark brown, so it's this color here, and I'm just going to go into that gently. Just going to put that through, literally, if you can see that, just through that outer edge there. Once I've placed it down, I'm going to blend up, like you can see I'm doing now. I'm not taking it in, I'm keeping it on that outside half of my eye. I just want to deepen a little bit of that crease to give it a little bit more definition, that's all. Put it where I want it and then just blend it out a bit. Just like that. Just going to get a thin brush. Just going to go into this colour here. This one I like a lot. This is one of my faves. And I'm just going to put that on the inner eyelid. Just a little bit. I'm not going too sort of hard with it. I'm not taking it above the crease. And I'm just stopping before that outside corner. So I'm probably only taking it to about here. I don't know if you can see that. Probably taking it to about there. Keeping that outer corner quite matte and quite dark. You can see these are really good brushes if you want to get up to the crease but you don't want to go above it, because they sort of like to sit right where that crease is, and then you can sort of paint out with the brush how far you want to go and then come back down from that. Not so much blending as sort of like stamping it on and pushing it down, I guess, if you like. This is the Urban Decay 24/7. This is in the color Whiskey. I'm just going to look in my mirror. I'm just going to put that on my inner waterline. And just give my eye a little bit more of a lift. I was going to use a black, but sometimes blacks can be a little bit sort of hard. I just want a bit of a chilled look. This is just a sort of neutral looking coloured pencil from Makeup Forever, and this is in the colour For Sand. And I'm just going to run that along my bottom lash line. It does have a little bit of a glow to it, but what it does do really well is it just sort of neutralises out that pink and helps to give sort of a more fresh look to the eyes. Put on a little bit of a mascara. I already curled my lashes. I really like this. This is the Lancôme Idol Lash, and it's really nice. I'm just going to get some of the Becca Champagne Pop. I'm just going to grab this. I'm just going to put some on that top part of my cheeks. I've got that glow from the foundation, everything, so I don't really need a huge amount of glow. I just want a little tiny bit of extra. Glow or not to glow, up to you. Just put a little bit into that inner corner here, and then I'll put a little bit up here too under my eyebrow. But you don't have to do that. I'll just pat it down with my finger. I've actually been getting some really nice messages from you all, and sort of feel like things are starting to take a little bit of traction. So I just wanted to thank you for that. I really appreciate all your support. But if you are posting and you notice I'm not supporting you, just send me a message or send me a copy of the post so that I can get it, and then I will be able to like it. Okay? All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Have a lovely day, and I will see you again next time. Bye.